It's the continuation of the story called A Dream Girl Feminized Me, which has been published long ago. You can find previous two-part of the story in the playlist. I don't know. Shall we try and do something with his eyes now? Oh yes, let's. I was a little startled by the enthusiasm this suggestion had generated. I had never been able to animate Anita so much before. I decided it was time to reassert some normality. Well, remember the contest rules said I could only wear modest makeup. Oh, we'll make sure you're modest, Nikki stated, beaming at me, while she rummaged again in her bag. I think we'll start with a bit of eyeliner, she announced, producing a pencil from the depths. Good idea, Anita exclaimed in agreement, beginning to grin wildly. Okay, let's see what we can do. With this, Nikki came at me with the pencil, and I flinched away. Steady on, I said. You could have my eye out with that thing. I'll be careful, Nikki said, barely hesitating. I pulled my face away again, almost in reflex. Honestly, Steve, it won't hurt, Anita reassured me. I was not convinced. Just try and keep still. Go on. All right, I mumbled, and Nikki set to work with the pencil, while my eyes tried to blink or pull away from the pencil, scraping around their edges. He's got lovely shaped eyes, Anita observed as Nikki moved from one to the other. Nice and even. Yes, Nikki agreed. And not too deep set either, Anita added. I could just see her staring at me through the tears welling up. No, he's going to look good, Nikki continued, still scratching away at my lids. Well, I think that might do. How does it look, Anita? She asked. Excellent, Anita exclaimed, with a wide grin. You look wonderful, Steve, doesn't he, Nikki? Well, it's definitely an improvement. Yes. Your eyes look really good in makeup. They're such a good shape, and the eyeliners really brought that out. Her enthusiasm was apparent in her voice. Let's put some eyeshadow on for him as well. That will look even better. Okay, said Nikki. What color do you think he should have? Anita looked pensive for a moment, her brows drawing together. I don't know. It depends on what he's going to wear, I suppose. Well, Nikki said after a pause, we know that, for the uniform round anyway. Oh, that's true, Anita said, her face returning to its usual form. Pale blue. Yes, agreed Nikki. Well then, perhaps some nice pale blue shadow then. That should look good. Okay, then, said Nikki, and began to look in her bag again. She emerged with a small pad with 3 or 4 blue powder circles of differing shades. Right, let's see what we can do. He really has got nice eyes, Anita observed, staring at me again. They're not heavily set like most blokes. No, agreed Nikki. They're good. She dabbed what looked like a cotton wool bud on a stick into one of the blue circles, and then started towards me. You'd best close your eyes for this, Steve, she suggested. Close my eyes? Yes, I need to do your eyelids, so it's much better if you close them. Yes, agreed Anita. I shrugged and complied, and almost immediately wished I hadn't. Nikki began stabbing my eyes through the lids with the stick. Hey, I objected, pulling away. That hurts. Oh, don't be such a baby, Anita taunted. It just feels a little uncomfortable. You could hardly say it hurts. No, agreed Nikki. Just keep still and be brave. Reluctantly, I moved back into position and let Nikki prod around again. After the initial shock of having my eyeball poked, the sensation wasn't too bad. Nice and dark down here, Nikki said, and then I'll do some lighter shading higher up. Yes, agreed Anita, her voice betraying some excitement at the prospect. Nikki shuffled across and began work on my other eye. I can't get over how good your eyes are, Steve. Anita exclaimed. They really are perfect, you know. Perfect for this anyway. I agree. Nikki put in. A nice shape and not too deeply set. Just right for a girl. They both laughed at this, while I grunted. Much as I was pleased to receive this stream of compliments from Anita, being complimented for looking like a girl was not part of my fantasy. Okay, Nikki said, after a little while, let's try the lighter shade as well now. Oh yes. Good idea. Anita encouraged. The prodding and poking then continued as Nikki worked away with another one of the pots. I just sat there with my eyes shut while this went on, occasionally feeling the breath of one or other of the girls on my face. Oh, that looks lovely. Anita exclaimed as Nikki finished one eye. Oh yes, I like that. I like that a lot. It doesn't look bad, does it? Nikki agreed, moving around to my other side. Wow. You really have got girl's eyes, Steve. I'm not messing about, they look gorgeous. Anita's roundabout compliment stung me like a wasp. Well, anyone's eyes would look girly with this much makeup on, I grumbled. Oh, I don't know about that, Anita asserted. I think you're a natural. Me too, agreed Nikki before I could say anything. She then recommenced poking my eyelids, higher up this time, with the stick on the left side. After what seemed an age she announced, well, I think that'll do. Oh yes, enthused Anita breathlessly, that'll do very nicely. You look lovely, Steve. Both of the girls giggled while they looked at me from all angles. I'll tell you something else as well, Anita said, still looking closely at me. Part of the reason his eyes look so girly is his eyelashes. Nikki looked at my eyes again. Yes, she agreed. They're nice and long. And they curl a bit naturally as well, Anita added. It's good. Well, I think we can help a bit there as well, Nikki said, and started rummaging in her bag again. What he really needs now, she stopped to search further, is this. Oh yes. Mascara. Anita exclaimed. That's a must. Hang on. I exclaimed. I thought I was supposed to be wearing modest amounts of makeup. If I wear too much I'll be disqualified or something. The two girls looked at each other for a second. I hardly think a little touch of mascara could be taken as too much, Steve. Anita explained quietly. No, Nikki agreed. All girls wear a little bit of mascara. Yes, said Anita, backing her up. It'll be fine, Steve. Don't worry. We won't get you disqualified or anything. No, agreed Nikki. Shall we do it then? Yes, said Anita emphatically, and my willingness to object evaporated in the face of her enthusiasm. Nikki had brought out a black pencil-looking thing from the bag, and she took the lid of this to reveal a long, stiff-looking brush. She dipped this back into the tube from which it had emerged, and then lifted it to my eye. Almost instinctively, I backed away from it. Keep still, she said with some irritation. This won't hurt. No. Don't worry, Steve. I put some on every day, and I've never damaged myself with it. Anita said with a bit more sympathy. Grudgingly, I held my head in place, while the brush approached my eye. Don't blink, Nikki commanded, and I felt the brush tugging uncomfortably at my eyelashes. Shut them now, she continued, and I obeyed. Aww. He's got wonderful eyelashes. Anita exclaimed. I'm quite jealous. They giggled together at this. Good, Nikki said eventually. Now try not to blink too much until it's dry. I'm going to do the other one now. She moved around to my left side and repeated the process. Eventually she was obviously satisfied. Well, that'll do for now. He could do with another coat, but we can do that when this one's dried. Yes, agreed Anita. Oh, Steve, you look adorable, she exclaimed, giggling. Once they're dry you can try fluttering them a bit. I don't think so, thank you. I responded, but the giggling continued. Well, while they're drying, we might as well work on your lips, announced Nikki. My lips? Yes, enthused Anita. You'll have to have a bit of lippy. Yes, agreed Nikki. Oh God, was the only response I could make. Now what color would be best? Nikki asked. I don't know, Anita responded. See-through, I suggested. Well, you could have a bit of gloss later, Anita replied, obviously misunderstanding what I was saying. In fact, that's not a bad idea, to make it last longer. Yes. Good idea, Steve. Nikki agreed. But you need something with a bit of color to it first. I suppose we shouldn't go for anything too bright, Nikki volunteered. He is supposed to be a little restrained. For this round at least. Yes, agreed Anita. We can go to town a bit for the formal costume. If I get that far, I put in. Of course you will, asserted Anita. You'd better after all this effort, agreed Nikki. Okay, well let's see what I've got that's quite subtle. She rummaged around in her bag again and pulled out what I recognized as a lipstick. What about this? Let's see, said Anita. Oh yes, that might do the trick. Let's try it out anyway. Okay, agreed Nikki, and she unscrewed the top and produced another little brush. Now let's make sure your lips are nice and dry to start with. And remember, don't lick them until it's nice and dry. Obligingly I wiped my mouth and made sure they were dry. Nikki dabbed the brush onto the lipstick until it was liberally covered in light pink lipstick while I looked on horrified. Okay, she said, let's try it. She began rubbing the lipstick into my mouth, and the first thing I noticed was the taste, a sort of waxy and vaguely fruity flavor. Anita was over to my right, looking on with great interest. Oh, that's beginning to look much better, she exclaimed. He's got a nice mouth, but his lips were a bit thin before. Well, I'm trying to fill them out a bit, Nikki responded, still working with the brush. After some time, she backed away to inspect her handiwork. Well, that's probably okay, for the uniform round. Yes, agreed Anita, it looks good. What do you think, Steve? I was amazed to be asked. Well, it tastes a bit funny. Honestly, Steve, you're not supposed to be eating it. No, agreed Nikki. They continued staring. Give us a pout, suggested Anita. Go on, like this. She pursed her lips out for me. I shuffled uncomfortably, I wasn't sure I wanted to pout. Come on, Steve, just so we can see what it looks like, encouraged Nikki. I relented and pursed my lips as Anita had done. They immediately both burst out laughing. Oh, that looks so sweet, giggled Anita. It's lovely. Yes, agreed Nikki, do it again. Reluctantly I did so, to be greeted with further howls of laughter. You're a natural for this, Steve, Anita informed me. If you were a girl, you'd be a right little flirt. Yes, agreed Nikki. And once we've put another coat of mascara on, you can practice fluttering your eyelashes as well. Oh God, I said meekly, and Nikki found the mascara brush again. Without further ado she began to reapply it to my eyelashes, tugging upwards with each stroke. Oh, that's really good, observed Anita. They're curling up nicely now. Yes, agreed Nikki. Let's see what it looks like. She stepped away, and after a critical pause smiled. "Oh yes, that looks really good." Both girls giggled, while I became quite glum. "Well, let's see you flutter them," urged Anita. "They may not be dry yet," cautioned Nikki. "It'll be okay. Come on, Steve. Let's see you do it." Please subscribe for the next part and visit my Patreon page for early access. Link in the comment. Thanks.